I think there's the other side of this product, which is the Thar brand.
Yeah.
We should accept that it's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah, and therefore not a mass market or volume thing.
And in this, the analogy that I want to give is what would for other markets be the dream of having a convertible.
Correct.
It's impractical. It's not a family vehicle per se.
No.
It's not all-season vehicle. It's an indulgence. The Thar and these off-road vehicles are that indulgence for the Indian market.
Correct.
Is the satisfaction you get looking at it. Is the satisfaction you get when you are looked at, when you're in it. It is that accepted. And the numbers also indicate that, because the rear-wheel drive Thar, when I asked Mahindra about this, they said it sells about 40% or so. They were not sure, but other news reports have said that it was as high as 50%. I won't be surprised if it's even more. And with the Roxx coming in, I think that number is going to go higher up, that the rear-wheel drive will account for more and more.
Yeah.
Because what people really want is the attention out of this car. And I got to tell you, when I was driving this around Pune, I knew what it felt like to be in Taliban country driving a brand new Hilux with a bow on the hood. The amount of attention it got, the number of vehicles with pitch black glasses that rolled up next door. I couldn't see who's driving, but they are just driving next to me and looking at, it's Innova slowed down, three-door Thar slowed down. Everybody just made way because they're like, oh, this has come.
So it does rock a little bit.
Yeah, the kind of attention it gets is incredible. And it's amazing because looking at it coming head on, would it look that distinctive? I hadn't thought so.
No, because the slats are weird, no? So it does get attention.
Oh, man.
So if you were to make a decision between Creta and the Thar 5-door, the Roxx, which car should you be rocking every day?
It's simple. I mean, if this is your primary car, do it all. I will always pick the more convenient option if I'm clear that this is about convenience. You have to be clear about that. If you're saying this is a lifestyle choice, then by all means pick the Roxx. It is now practical enough. There are trade-offs. Like if you tell me to drive this regularly, long distances, this is not my scene.
Got it.
It is not my scene.
So the more serious the car is as a utility role in your life, the more you're likely to end up with a Creta or a Seltos or something like that.
Grand Vitara,
etc., etc. The less serious this is, the more you'll be okay with whatever the Roxx gives and happy with what it does really well.
Like I would not. Okay, so this is the story. Back at Autocar, Osif Chaco, I know some of you said we should explain who this is. He was my colleague at Autocar, and now a lot of you may know him as this off-road instructor for two-wheelers. He rides bikes in the dirt a lot now. So he, back then, used to be doing off-road in cars, Thars specifically. And he used to just be raving about the Thar.
Right.
And this one time we had to do an off-road story. I was doing the story. So we had to go take all the cars from Mumbai to Lonavala. And because of all of Osif's raving, I said, I'll drive the Thar. And this is the first gen Thar I'm talking about.
Right.
And it had off-road tires and all of that. Before I got to Lonavala,
yeah, you were already exhausted by this
I was cursing Osif.
Correct.
And I was cursing the Thar because the tires were bumpy, the car was just jiggling up and down, and it was noisy, it was tiring.
Right.
I said, I don't even want to drive it back. The story is fine. After that, I'm not driving this on the way back.
Correct.
Then the Thar, the second gen, 3-door, we got it. And the rear wheel drive specifically, which is as uncomfortable as the 4x4.
Right.
So I drove it from here to Pune and back, and I did it. It wasn't uncomfortable, but it wasn't pleasant either.
Right.
After having it got to Mumbai, if you told me, Chal, we need to go back to Pune, let's go, I would look for another car. In this, the Roxx, I would make that trip again in this car.
Correct. But with a Creta on this trip, you just never think about this at all. This would just be like, yeah, okay, let's do that.
It's just what it is.
Understood.
Right? So, because I'll explain the small stuff. Because of the structure, there is a slight resonance. You get this dull, that slight is there in the background. It's something that you'll think about when you drive a 3-cylinder. At low revs, you'll get that little bit of that, not exactly buzz, but it's that deep rumble kind of sense in the background. And this is something that does tie you over time. On the expressway, it's not the smoothest expressway, but you're constantly getting a little bit of that movement.
Right.
And this is on the expressway.
Yeah, and a ladder frame can control it only to a certain extent. Beyond that, you can't. Okay, I was when I went to ride the Hero Destiny, my drop to the airport was in Akrista, and now Goa has these long concrete highways
Yeah.
that run through this to the state, and that makes it very easy to get around. But Krista will continue to rock through the whole thing because it just cannot control beyond a point, and this concrete is just like small irregularities one after the other. So you're constantly going like this through the entire trip. You get used to it, but it's not the most pleasant thing. And any monocoque car in the same situation would just iron most of it out.
Correct. So this is not about budget, because even if you were to get into a Jeep Wrangler,
I would do the same thing. Yeah.
it'll do the same.
And I've driven the Wrangler long ago on the Rubicon Trail, and off-road, the thing is mind-boggling. But we got back to the trailhead after one day into the trail and one day out of the trail, driving from the trailhead to the hotel in the Lake Tahoe area, and that 25-mile trip, those 25 miles, I don't want to remember. Right? Because all the qualities that I loved on the trail, where it would do impossible things, especially under guidance from the spotters who were telling us where to put the wheels and stuff, you come to the road and you go like this, and you're like, it's not turning. Right? And you have to reset the fact that it will turn slower and it'll have reactions and it'll roll the other way and stuff. And it took a while for those 25 kilometers to settle in. So when I see, videos of Americans driving Wranglers around, I don't know how they're doing it on a daily basis.
So this is the same thing. Even in America, it's about the imagery more than the practicality.
Yeah.
It's the same thing the world over. Nobody is buying it because it makes your life more convenient.
No.
You're buying it because you look cool. And in this case, with the Roxx, with the coolness of the Thar, you're also getting a great dose of practicality now, where I would be okay to travel in it. I would be okay to drive it for extended periods. Still not a primary car for me.
Correct.
Still the secondary car. A lifestyle choice, stressing on that here. You have to be in that mindset to really make the most out of it.
Understood. This clip is actually from a much longer video, which is on our main channel, which is called MotorInc. Why don't you visit us there? This idea in more detail over there with my great friend Kartikeya. You like him, right?